with a focus on emotional well-being and purposeful living. Since 2002, she has led yoga trainings and retreats in over 20 countries, guiding students into direct experiences of clarity, resilience, and inner alignment. She is the author of The Yogi's Way, Transform Your Mind, Health, and Reality, and co-author of Sacred Sanskrit Words for Yoga, Chant, and Meditation. She has also released 2 mantra albums with Network Music Group. Born into a family deeply rooted in yoga tradition, Reema was first taught by her parents and grandparents. After graduating from Vassar College and the London School of Economics, I'm sure you do a lot of yoga in LAS or LSE, she began her career at the United Nations before leaving in 2001 to devote herself fully to yoga teaching and study. Her students have included Sting, Pete Burkell, Paul Simon, Zainab Selby, and Sujatha Aliga, along with thousands of practitioners worldwide. Welcome, Reema.
Hello, thank you for having me. It is so awesome to be here with you all this weekend of learning and growing together. It makes me think of a mantra that I'll share with you this morning. So mantras are from the yoga tradition, and sometimes they're small phrases, sometimes they're a short song, and they carry very beautiful meanings. So the meaning of this mantra, the translation from Sanskrit to English, is accept us all together. Protect and nourish us all together. May our knowledge and our strength always increase. May what we attain together be brilliant. And may we never misunderstand one another. Peace, peace, peace. So I'll share it with you in Sanskrit. If you want to, you can close your eyes and just take in the sounds and the meaning. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So Sanskrit is such a beautiful language because of the vibrations of the sounds carry the meaning of the words. So may we be nourished and rested and protected and accepted, and may what we attain together be brilliant. So I have a teenage daughter, and she's 14, and when I think about what I would want most for her, and for all of us women, is to be connected to her inner wisdom. You know, we live in such a loud world with so much information, opinions, judgments, pressure. To be connected to our inner wisdom, our inner guidance, it is freedom. It's an empowered way of living. Now I know what it's like to have a mind that is clouded and confused and overcome with anxiety and sorrow. About 10 years ago, I went through a separation with my daughter's father, and I was overcome with fear and anger and shame, and I couldn't think clearly. And I didn't know what to do, and I asked everyone around me what decisions I should make, my friends, my family. And honestly, it was exhausting and just defeating. But then I went back to my yoga practices, and it took me months and even a couple of years, but I started to develop a mind that is clear and grounded and spacious, a mind that quietly knows what is best for me. There is so much peace in this. Yoga means union with our soul. Our soul is a very quiet and still space within us. It's the deepest and most powerful part of ourselves. So in ancient Sanskrit texts, they describe the soul as like the very depths of the ocean. So if you can visualize this with me, take your mind to the very depths of the ocean. There's that exquisite stillness and silence and spaciousness, right? That's what our soul is like. And it's from those depths, when we can tap into that quietness, that we have moments of insight, that we connect with our intuition, that we get like fresh and new ideas. We might come up with a new solution to the problems that we're experiencing or facing in our lives. In yoga texts, they make a distinction between the soul and the spirit. So our spirit is very unique. We were born with very particular gifts to contribute to the whole of life. And our spirit longs to express its uniqueness. Our soul is very quiet and still. And on a soul level, the yogis don't say we're similar, they say we're identical. The same infinite potential and light and intelligence of the universe moves through all of us. So this practice, it's so beyond culture or race or nationality. It actually brings us back to our humanity, right? We all want to be accepted and protected and nourished. We all want to get quiet and still and spacious and connect to that eternal wisdom that lives inside of us. So, this wisdom, this intelligence of the universe, this wisdom of our bodies, we see it at play all the time in our world. So for example, when my daughter was born, she was placed on my belly. On her own, she inched toward my breast and latched on. When she did, my uterus began to contract. It returned back to its normal size. My bleeding began to slow. She did the perfect thing for me and for herself. No one whispered into my daughter's ear telling her what to do. This natural intelligence moved through her, as it moves through all of us, all of the time. This is what we call in yoga an eternal truth, that the wisdom and the intelligence of the universe moves through us. It's an eternal truth. It doesn't change. But what changes is whether or not we're connected to it. So, what is our biggest obstacle to connecting to the wisdom of our soul, to the gifts of our spirit? Can anyone guess? Any wild guesses? The biggest obstacle?
Fear, guilt, shame.
Our own minds. Yeah. These patterns that our minds create of fear, shame, guilt, attachment, aversion. So fear, there's a Sanskrit word called klesha. Klesha is a power of the mind, and it's literally translated as a mind poison, or a destructive emotion. Now those are really strong words, right? Poison, destructive. But the yogis understood the power of our minds, that these negative patterns, these patterns that bring us down, they can destroy us. They create imbalance that can lead to disease. And so these patterns called kleshas, they block us from that flow state. Right? So the biggest klesha, fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change. When I was baby like come out of it. I don't understand. And my doctor, he was like, oh, it's okay. I can schedule you a C-section. I'm like, what? Like I'm a perfectly healthy woman, you know? And it's just amazing to me to look back at that because we need, like, especially women, we need our wisdom to surface because we do live in a really patriarchal society. You know, I ended up taking 3 birthing courses because I really needed to educate myself how this works. And thankfully, by the end of the 3rd course, just a couple days before I gave birth, I got the message that my body knows how to give birth. It's been doing this. Women have been giving birth forever, right? But I had doctors telling me they can do a C-section, they can give me all this medication, and then it's tempting to fall for it, right? But I ended up, because I took so much time to learn, I ended up doing a home birth. And I actually moved houses in the 7th month of my pregnancy, just so I could be 10 minutes away from a hospital. So I had that security that if I need to go to a hospital, I'll go to a hospital. But I gave birth naturally, and what I didn't know, and no doctor, no one told me this, but I learned on my own, that when a woman gives birth naturally, so much serotonin releases from our body, so much oxytocin. I was like in bliss for weeks after I gave birth. And when, you know, how much are we deprived of? Because we don't live in a world that acknowledges the power that we have, the capacity that we have. I just wonder, you know, and I hope that we all can awaken our inner wisdom and start to shift things and really enjoy our power and our capacity. So fear is one of the biggest cliches, one of the biggest obstacles to connect to our soul, to the wisdom of our bodies, to the gifts of our spirit. Another major cliche is attachment. So attachment in the yoga tradition is very different than in psychology. When we talk about attachment, we talk about how the mind can sometimes get convinced that I need the outer world to be a certain way to be okay, to be happy. Like I need that relationship, that job, that house, that thing out there to feel okay. And so the yogis teach us to detach. And it's okay to want things. It's beautiful to want things. It's beautiful to have desires. Our desires can be this amazing fuel. But with attachment, we're just letting go of that grippiness. Like I have to have that to be happy. And what the yogis remind us is that actually, you know what? Where real, genuine joy comes from? It comes from awakening the dormant energies within ourselves. It comes from tapping into our inner wisdom and the gifts of our spirit, getting the clarity of what are those gifts, and the energy to cultivate those gifts, and the courage to give them. That's where joy comes from. It comes from giving, not getting. So attachment is a huge cliche. Another cliche is aversion. We spend so much time avoiding the things that we dislike. When we do that, we suffer. The opposite of aversion is acceptance. So for example, say that something happened with my friend and I feel some anger towards her. Now anger is kind of uncomfortable to face. So if I push that anger away, if I go into aversion, then the anger gets bigger, right? But if I accept the anger, let myself be with it, let myself take some time to understand it, then its hold on me dissolves. And instead of the anger holding me down, I start to learn and grow. So how fear, attachment, anger, these are some of the biggest cliches. Another one in Sanskrit is called avidya. And it just means forgetting our essence, forgetting that the wisdom of the universe moves through me, like it moves through my daughter. Forgetting that we have, each of us was born with this, some kind of unique gift to give to the world. We forget our essence, and then we start to depend on external things, like external approval or appearance. But the only person we need approval from is ourselves, because we're the only ones who know what's best for us. So a spiritual warrior seeks approval only from herself. So kleshas are these mind poisons or patterns in the mind. A big part of yoga is acknowledging that we're human and we all have kleshas. I've had all of them intensely and I'm working through them. So first we accept that we all have kleshas and we start to work through them through awareness practices, through contemplative practices, and through movement. So what the yogis found is that these kleshas, they create knots in our body. In Sanskrit, they're called granthis. So doesn't that sound awful? Granthi. It just, we don't want those. Granthis, they're very specifically translated as difficult knots to untie. So just imagine, if we've been experiencing fear, attachment, aversion for years or decades, these knots are deeply embedded in our being. They affect our body, they affect our mind. So we do practices to loosen the knots. And because they're very stubborn, we do movement, mindfulness, visualization, breath, meditation, mantras. And when we do all those practices together as a holistic experience, we have a chance for those granthis to loosen. When the granthis loosen, fresh energy moves through our body without obstruction. Eventually, our inner winds flow so smoothly, and they start to enter the central channel. Now in Sanskrit, the central channel is called Sushumna Nadi. Sushumna, that's beautiful, beautiful word. So Su means good, Shu means very good. Na comes from the same root as the word hen. Sushumna literally means a very good song, or a very good sacred song. When we've done the work in our minds and bodies to loosen the knots and to get our ribs to move through the central channel, we can literally hear our song, our wisdom, our purpose. It all starts to come from the inside out. This is the goal of yoga. So, I thought we would do some practices together today. Just simple that you can do standing up. So let's come up to stand. So the first thing we'll do is just a very simple breath. Let's take our hands to our belly. You can close your eyes. And as you inhale, let the belly expand out. As you exhale, let the belly naturally move in. One more time. Inhale, let the belly expand out. Exhale, feel the belly move in. Let's take the right hand to our ribs, left hand to the belly. Now when you inhale, feel the belly and the ribs expand out. When you exhale, feel all of that naturally move in. Good. When you place your hands on your ribs, take your fingers to the front of your ribs, the thumbs around the back. So when you inhale, feel the front, back, and sides of your ribs expand, as well as your belly. Let's try it again. Inhale. Exhale. Good. A couple more times on your own. When we breathe into the belly, this is called diaphragmatic breath. It sends the body a signal to relax. Do you feel that? into the chest, it causes stress. And if we already feel some anxiety or any of the kleshas, it just makes them more intense. So first step is always to drop the breath into our belly, into our ribs, and just down low in the body. So we'll continue that breath, and then you can take your hands to your sides. So in yoga, this is called mountain pose. Your feet are rooting down to the ground. You feel that solidity of the earth. Just take a moment to feel that, and just feel an emotion of just surrender, that you're letting the earth support you. So you can lift your toes for a moment, really root the four corners of your feet down to the earth. And then relax your toes, but keep rooting the feet down. And we're going to take our hand to the heart and just lift the heart up into the hand. So almost like there's a string from the sky gently pulling the heart up. Shoulders are down and back. Take your hands back to your sides. Feel free to close your eyes for a moment and just stay connected to that belly breathing. Nice and slow, something like inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. We're going to work a little bit on the klesha of attachment. So the yogis recognize that for most of us, our biggest attachment is identities that we attach to ourselves. Like I am this profession or occupation or, aspects of our personality. I'm, like what we heard yesterday, I'm a perfectionist or I'm a pleaser or, we attach these identities to ourselves and they become like a prison. Like we feel like we have to conform to them and abide by them, start to protect them. And it ends up limiting us. And what I thought we would do today, because as I've been teaching in several different places, I see this pattern. I thought it was just me because I'm Asian, and this is a common thing for Asian women, but that we grow up like wired to be pleasers. But then as I got to know people, women all over the world, I thought this isn't just some Indian, Asian thing. Like women all over the world experience this, right? We're just kind of trained to be pleasers. So and if this doesn't apply to you, you can ignore me. But in case it does, like attachments, they create blocks in the area of the throat. So we do some practices to open the throat as we're loosening the grip on an attachment in our mind. So the yogis, they had this refined awareness of how different kleshas affect different parts of the body. So when we work on a klesha, we do specific types of movement and breath work to work on that klesha. So, for example, anger affects the heart, fear affects the belly, attachment affects the throat. So, let's take our awareness to the throat area. And if you experience this issue of being a pleaser and just saying yes to everybody, even when your body says no, acknowledge that we have that pattern. And it's no judgment. We always approach our kleshas from a space of love and compassion and understanding. So it's okay, I have this klesha of a pleaser. It might create some blocks around my throat area. So I'm going to close my eyes, acknowledge that klesha, and start to visualize releasing the grip on it. I don't have to actually be a pleaser. Actually, if I set myself up to live with integrity, to connect with my gifts, then I'm going to serve people in an even deeper, more profound way. So I'm going to release, even just in my mind, I'm going to release the grip of needing to be a pleaser. And we're going to do some movement to support that. So as just the chin up. Lift the throat open. And exhale the chin to your chest. So even when we take the chin down to the chest, it activates the throat area. Okay, once again, inhale, arms up. Open the throat. And exhale, slightly bend the knees, take the hands to the thighs. Good. We're going to do kind of like a cat-cow here. Inhale, lift the throat again. Gaze forward or up. Exhale, round the spine, chin to the chest. Good. Again, inhale, open the throat, gaze forward or up. Exhale, round the spine. Again, inhale, let the belly relax, gaze forward or up, open the throat. Imagine you're loosening the grip on this cliche of attachment to being a pleaser. Exhale, round the spine. Once more, inhale, open the throat. Exhale, round the spine. Good. Let's inhale, arms up, stand tall. Open the throat again as you look up to your thumbs. Exhale, take the hands down. Once more, inhale, gaze up, open the throat. Feel that freedom of releasing that attachment. And as you exhale, take your left hand to grab your right wrist and just go to your side. Good. Let's inhale, reach up, grab the opposite wrist. As you exhale, we'll go to the other side. Inhale, come up. And exhale, hands down. Let's one more time. Just inhale the chin up. Feel the throat open. Feel that energy release as you, in your mind, release that need to be a pleaser. Exhale, take the chin parallel to the ground. And just take your hand gently to your, the very center of the throat. And with your eyes closed, just visualize that at the very center of the throat, that area is opening like a flower. This is our area of communication and expression. When we release attachments on our identity, we're able to be honest with ourselves and others. We're able to speak and be heard. And this area keeps opening. You can slowly open your eyes and just take a seat for a moment. We'll do one more practice today. Or maybe a couple more. We'll see how it goes. So I mentioned fear. And a lot of emotions connected to fear, like doubt, jealousy. These emotions affect the winds at the belly. And as I said, it's like deep, the knots can get deep. So sometimes you have to do really deep work to free ourselves of these granthis, of these knots. So I'm going to share a practice, it's called Nali Kriya. And it's considered the most powerful practice in all of yoga. But it's actually seldom taught. So I'll demonstrate it for you, and then I'll teach it to you so you can take it home. Now, one of the reasons Nali Kriya is considered so powerful is one, it helps us free ourselves of fear and doubt and that family of emotions. But also what it does is it massages the organs of the digestive system. So I don't know if anyone here has noticed, but as we age, our digestive system slows down, right? Our metabolism slows down. Things just don't work like when we were 17, right? So we want to counter that as yogis. So this practice, it speeds metabolism and makes our digestive system work very efficiently, and so it's considered so important. Now to demonstrate this, I just need to warn you, it looks really funny. It's gonna look like there's an alien in my belly, but there's not. There's no creature in the belly. You don't want to do this practice if you're pregnant. At any other stage of life, it's a great, powerful practice to do. It's actually especially great after you give birth. It just helps everything get back together. So I have had a baby and I have scars on my belly, but I'm going to just still demonstrate this, and then I'll show you how to do it. So I'm just So that's your turn. No, for real. Come stand up.
I'm gonna take my coat off.
So there's
We can do it.
steps to learn how to do this.
You can give it a go.
So I'll
We can
take
try.
you through all 3 steps.
Let's go. Yeah.
And just know it took me 6 months to get the full circle. And it's like every practice in yoga, even as we work towards the full practice, you're getting the benefits. So the first part of the practice, it's called Uddiyana lift. Uddiyana, just take your hands to your low belly for a moment. So this is like, there's so many layers to every yoga practice. On one layer, this practice is also powerful because here at the lower belly, this is like a power center. It's recognized by practitioners in India, China, Japan. This is like the place where all of our creativity, our wisdom lies. And in yoga, they depict it as a coiled up serpent because often that energy is just lying dormant. And so we do these practices to stir that energy and eventually let it rise up that central channel and come to the surfaces. So the first part of this practice is engaging this area, starting to stir the energy that's here. So the lift, I'll demonstrate what we're going to do. That's it, we're just going to lift. So I'll take you through it. So this practice, we always do it empty of air. And so it's a little bit intense. And just in general, the moment you need to breathe, let yourself breathe. So we don't want any strain in our practice ever. So what we're going to do, and I'll take you through this in a minute, but just to prepare you, we're going to inhale, like a big deep inhale like we did earlier. We're going to exhale all the breath out of our body and let ourselves be empty of air. And then without inhaling, we're going to pull our belly in towards our spine and up towards our heart. And then the moment you feel like you need to inhale, you let yourself stand up and inhale. So I'll take you through it. So let's together take a big inhale into your belly. Exhale all your breath out. You can start to bend your knees, take your hands to your thighs. When you're empty of air, without inhaling, pull your belly in and up. Just take a pause there. The moment you need to breathe, you can stand up and take a breath. So even if you just get a moment of a lift, that's great. It's a great start. Let's try it again. Inhale. Exhale all the breath out. Get empty of air. When you're empty, pull your belly in and up. Take a pause. The moment you need to breathe, let yourself. How's it going? Let's try it once more. Inhale. Exhale all the breath out. Hands to your thighs. When you're empty, pull the belly in and up without inhaling. When you need to breathe, let yourself. Any questions? You can do that tomorrow morning.
I found that I was like
when you inhale, you want it to be through your nose. When you exhale, it can be through your nose or your mouth. That's fine, either way. And one little trick, when you're bending down and pulling the belly in, you want all like the pressure in your face, in your shoulders, you want it to be totally relaxed. So you want to get all of this energy here isolated to the heels of your hands. And so the heels of the hands are just like resting on the upper thighs, and all the shoulders relaxed, face, jaw relaxed. You're taking everything right here, and you're pressing your hands down. And you'll notice, we'll do it one more time. As you press your hands down, just see if you can get an even deeper, higher lift. Right? So here I'm just doing it, but if I press my hands down, I get a little deeper lift. So try that. Try to relax the jaw, the shoulders, bring all the energy here. Inhale to the belly. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the upper thighs. Press the thighs down as you pull the belly in and up. Okay, you can do this tomorrow morning? Okay, awesome. Step 2. It's called Agnisara. Agni means fire. So now we're going to start to build fire. And if you're already starting to get warm, you're doing it right, because this practice builds a lot of inner fire. So what we're going to do, it's going to start very similar. We're going to inhale through the nose, exhale, you can exhale through the mouth. When we're empty, we're going to pull the belly in and up. But this time, instead of holding the belly up, we're going to pump the belly out and in, without breathing, while holding the breath out. So I'll demonstrate. The moment I need to breathe, I let myself breathe. So, this is like starting to stir up the energy more. So let's together. Inhale through the nose into the belly. Exhale all the breath out. You start to bend your knees, just like we did before. When you're empty, pull the belly in and up. And then let the belly go out and in, out and in. The moment you need to breathe, let yourself. Let's try it again. Inhale. Exhale. Press the hands down as you pull the belly in. Let it go all the way out, all the way in. So it's like a full range of motion. When you need to breathe, let yourself. Any questions coming up about this one? Yes.
I feel an engagement with the pelvic floor at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's great. Good. Let's try it once more together. Inhale into the belly. Exhale all the breath out. Bend the knees, hands to the upper thighs. Press down as you pull in. And then let it go all the way in, all the way out. You can try it a little faster, a little slower. Good. No strain when you need to breathe. Okay. You can do that one tomorrow morning? Yeah? Okay. Great. Third part. So now we're going to start to isolate the muscles here, which are connected to the muscles here. So it becomes very particular. You want your feet hip-width apart. We're going to first just work on the legs, what we're going to do. So we're bend the knees like you did before. This time we're going to bend one knee down a little further, and then the other. And take one knee down, and then the other. Now, to get the isolation in the sides of the belly, it's very important that the knees don't cave in or out, but they come right over the toes. Okay. Good. So another thing to be mindful of, your hips. you don't want them to sway like this. The hips will move, but you want that movement to be minimal. So inhale, exhale, lift. And then you're gonna see how my hips are, they're not swaying like that, but just bending the knees over the toes, trying to keep the hips in one line. So I'll show you the side to side, which, like the side to side, it starts very subtle. It gets a little deeper, and one day it becomes a circle. See that progression? Okay, so let's inhale arms up. Inhale belly up. Exhale, start to bend. When you're empty of air, pull your belly in and up. And then bend one knee down, and then the other. Just keep alternating until you need to breathe. No strain. So remember in the first practice, we took all our upper body weight here. So now with this one, one hand is very free. There's nothing really going on there. So all the weight is in one hand, and then it switches to the other. So we're still trying to stay very relaxed in the upper body. Let's try that. Inhale into the belly. Exhale, bend the knees. When you're empty of air, pull the belly in and up. And then take one knee down, and then the other. Good. When you need to breathe, let yourself breathe. Okay, any questions about that one?
When you're bending, are you pushing out on?
You're pushing down. It's a
And
good
your stomach just goes like that.
No,
Your stomach goes, whoop.
the wolf with the stomach, it can take some weeks or a couple months.
Good.
Like we're training. It's like we're starting to make that connection.
Okay.
So, what my teacher said to me, I'll pass to you. She said, just do that every morning for the rest of your life. So that's your homework. Okay, got it? Any questions? So, we'll do another practice, but we'll do it seated. I can try. So, sometimes we may think that we need like the outlet, we need these circumstances in our life to go into ourselves, to do these practices, to tap into the wisdom within us, to clear our blocks. But, our ancient texts, they say, when the outer world is tough, and when the outer world is oppressive, which it often is, dig deeper into your inner resources. And from those quiet depths, you'll always find a way to get through your obstacles. And my grandmother taught me that this is true. So she was born in a very small town in central India. And in the 8th grade, she was taken out of school, not to go to Mercersburg, but to get married to a man that she had never seen or met. She was 14. Now we recognize that as a crime, right? But by the time she was 16, she was pregnant. With her husband, they moved to Delhi, which was like a 15-hour train ride from her family. So she had no family or friends, and at 16 she was pregnant. And within a few years, she ended up having 4 daughters. And this was a time in India, deeply patriarchal society, where when a woman didn't have at least one son, they were literally looked down upon. So, and she ended up raising her 4 daughters mostly on her own. My grandfather ended up working and then eventually living abroad, but she stayed in India. And life. And you know, she was so connected to her inner wisdom, to her creativity. She cooked all their meals from scratch, which if you know like Ayurvedic Indian food, it takes hours to make a meal. Like you cut everything from scratch, you grind your own spices. Every day, every meal for her daughters was from scratch. She sewed all of their clothes. She went to the, you know, in those days, a woman wasn't even really seen outside of the house without a male companion, whether that was their father, or their brother, or their husband. But my grandmother was on her own, and she would just go to the local vendors for fresh vegetables every day. She took her daughters to the parks and the movies. She was like, I wish I had 7 daughters. She was a very strong woman. And her practice was mantra. So mantras literally translate, so man means mind, and tra means protection. A mantra is literally something that protects us from our own minds, from our kleshas, from those negative loops that the mind can go into. And mantras are very like uplifting, beautiful meanings and sounds, and they're constantly reminding us of our potential, of our power, of our creativity. So I grew up in the US, and I see how like Eastern traditions are often misunderstood. Like sometimes people think we're idol worshippers, and we're not. It's not like that. So, like a lot of the mantras, they celebrate deities, and the deities represent qualities that live inside of us. So when we say the name of a deity, we're awakening that quality within ourselves. For example, Saraswati, she's the goddess of creativity and wisdom. Ram, he's the god of peace and integrity, even in the most difficult times. Durga is the goddess of strength and courage. So say I'm a writer and I'm having a writer's block. I might just like call to my mind Saraswati, and I might imbue my mind with her qualities: eloquence, beautiful expression, creativity. And then something within me shifts, and those qualities start to surface from within me. So in our text they say we sing to the deity to awaken the deity within. If you think the deity is one and you another, you do not know, because you are that. We carry so much wisdom and power within us. All of these beautiful qualities are inside of us. So when we say the name of the deity, we're not asking something outside of us, of ourselves, to save us. We're awakening these qualities within ourselves that the deity represents. So my grandmother had mantras moving through her mind all the time, while cooking, while cleaning, while running errands. And so she knew her power. She knew her worth. She was connected to her creativity. So please don't ever think that the outer world has to be a certain way for us to connect to our inner potential. If anything, the harder the outer world is, the more we will connect with our inner power. So on that note, I want to share at least one more practice with you. And this one is great because it doesn't take any extra time out of your day. So, you know, just imagine like when you wake up in the morning and you're combing your hair, you can say to yourself internally, I'm combing the hair of a divine being. And when you take a shower, you can say to yourself, I'm bathing the body of a divine being. And when you make yourself breakfast, you can say to yourself, I'm cooking breakfast for a divine being. A being who the wisdom, the eternal wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of your body is moving through you. A being that was born with specific gifts to contribute to the world. And before you go out through the day, just look in the mirror one more time. And whether you're feeling tired or energetic or old or young, however you're feeling, just go a little deeper to your essence. And when you look in the mirror, see the face of the divine. Because you are that. And we remind ourselves of that all day through our mantras, through our practices, because it's so easy for the mind to forget. So I leave you with that practice, and I'm curious if you have any questions.
Reema, the second practice that you taught us with the moving of our stomach, what was that called again? And you practice it every day for how long?
Oh, good question. Thank you. So it's called Nali Kriya. Kriya is a purification, and Nali is a movement. So this will only take like 3 to 5 minutes of your day. It's best to do it in the mornings after you've had your beverage, so you're hydrated, but before you've eaten, so you're empty. And so the inhale, exhale, lift, that first one, just do that 3 times. And then inhale, exhale, lift, relax, do that 3 times. And then inhale, exhale, lift, side to side, do that 3 times. And you can take a couple breaths between each round to let your body settle and relax. So, and that will just take really 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. Anything else?
Reema, one more question. Can you review the movement where the back was like?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one is nice this movement is nice for the back, and of course opens the throat as well. So you have your knees slightly bent, hands on your thighs, and as you inhale, you lift your chin. You can just let the belly relax. And as you exhale, you round your spine and take your chin to your chest. Inhale, lift, open the throat, exhale, round the spine. And all of these practices are so much more powerful when we add the elements of our thoughts and emotions. So as we're opening the throat, we're visualizing ourselves releasing the grip on an attachment. I used to be attached to my own identity. Like after I had a baby, I was like, it's hard. Like, who am I? After that, and I noticed myself grasping to the old Reema who used to like travel and teach all over the world, and I felt nostalgic for her, and it was like very confusing. Like, who am I now? And then as I released that identity, I just let myself be open to who I'm becoming, and just to a new life where I'm with my daughter and I'm enjoying day-to-day life with her. And so instead of this world-traveling yogini, I became a writer, and I wrote a book, and then I developed an online course, and all of a sudden, I was feeling so depressed and nostalgic for the Reema that was gone, but like when we give ourselves space to release, then eventually something new does emerge, and that's awesome, and we don't have to be attached to the people we live. So this book that I wrote, it's actually a course, and it's 12 chapters. At the end of each chapter, there's a set of practices, and you spend 1 week on the practices at the end of each chapter. So you actually take 12 weeks to go through the book. I did not want to write a book on yoga philosophy. I wanted to write a book where you could immediately apply the wisdom to your life. So that's what the book is, and it has many teachings about how to approach our mind, our emotions, as well as physical practices. And the workbook is there because there's so many practices I give you that it's good to journal them. It's powerful to write down your experiences. So the journal and the book are available for you. So thank you again for having me.